Trackers on truckers, CVSA's push for universal electronic vehicle identifiers. From the highway to the halls of the White House, a trucker details her experience next to President Trump. And less than 2 weeks until the annual Walcott Truckers Jamboree. All that and more on today's Trucking with OOIDA. Welcome to the show. I'm Ashley Blackford.
I'm Scott Thompson. Ashley, I thought you'd be at the Jeff Bezos wedding in Venice. You didn't get the invite?
I didn't get the invite,
Got lost in the mail.
Unfortunately, but much to discuss there. Perhaps we'll touch on it later.
Maybe.
Yes.
I've got thoughts. I'm not sure we have the same thoughts on it.
I would think the wedding would be nice.
You would think.
To put it lightly.
Although, did you see the invitation? People were giving them grief for it. Looked like it was copy
I didn't
clip
see
art
that.
on the invitation.
Yes, I saw
or
something about it. I did see a list of celebrities that were invited. Unfortunately,
our invites got lost in the mail apparently, but maybe
awkward.
next time.
Maybe next week.
I'm hoping they're happy and stay together.
I'm sure it'll work out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a lot going on today, and we can cover some news here in a moment. One thing that kind of caught my eye, and I know our friends over at Landline have been covering this as well, CVSA, Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance, which we've been talking about in the context of the English proficiency out-of-service violation situation, they have laid out their legislative priorities, and one issue in particular is like a flashing red warning sign for a lot of folks out there, I think for a good reason. Yeah,
I guess topping the list, the Universal Electronic Vehicle Identifier, which essentially would allow law enforcement agencies to wirelessly identify vehicles, access information, which could potentially identify details about the vehicle, driver, carrier.
Yeah, every commercial motor vehicle.
Yes.
And that they did say that if this were to go into effect, it would be on only new trucks. But as we've seen before, that can be a pretty slippery slope. Mm-hmm. And again, this is something that CVSA is pushing for in the next highway bill. This is not something that's, legislation. It's not something FMCSA is pushing for. And CVSA has done this. People will probably recall they've tried this before, I think dating back to as far as like 2010 or something.
2010, which I'm like, what was the technology like in 2010? Because 15 years in the tech world, I would think would be like
well, that's a good point.
Change.
It's a conversation that they weren't having in 1995, or whatever, because the technology wouldn't have been there. But yeah, the idea of I think if you talk to most truckers out there, the idea of a driver-facing camera is enough of an intrusion. The idea that there would be a tracker in your vehicle, essentially, giving a link to law enforcement with information, and their argument here, CVSA, is that this would make roads safer. We would really only be monitoring, I think, unsafe motor carriers. But again,
that's what they all say, though. Isn't it?
Well, exactly. It's a super slippery slope here. And they're trying to get this in the highway bill because that's kind of the path of least resistance. I don't think we would see legislation like this pass anytime soon. FMCSA at this point has zero interest in something like this. So CVSA is essentially trying to, take that easy path toward passage here, and slipping into a highway bill would be the way to do it. But I worry about legislators. This is one of these things that sounds good maybe on paper to some folks.
So they're like, oh yeah, I'll sign off on this, but they're not actually thinking about it. They're not listening to truckers. They're not listening to associations like OOIDA who are against this. President Todd Spencer, have said our members have been extremely clear. They don't like this. This is an intrusion of privacy. They don't want it. So
and there was a proposed rulemaking. I guess 3 years ago or so. That would have put this into effect, and there were a couple thousand comments that came in, and you would imagine,
please don't.
Please. Well,
I don't know if they said please.
They weren't quite that nice, probably. I mean, cordial, but don't do this. But if you are in the habit of talking to your legislators, you might just put this on the radar and let them know that this is a bad idea because it's being floated out there, as it often is. But there you go.
And the push is on once again for more support for the Guaranteeing Overtime for Truckers Act the GOT Truckers Act, as it's often referred to. Currently, there's a Senate bill that would eliminate taxes on overtime wages. However, the bad news, truckers would not benefit.
Yeah. And we should make it clear, there are two separate bills. So we've got the bill in the Senate introduced by Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri. It's called the No Tax on Overtime Act of 2025. It essentially is, following through what President Trump had promised on the campaign trail to, end taxes on overtime wages.
Help out the blue-collar workers.
The problem, and the problem is that, among the blue-collar workers, truck drivers are not among them that are listed in the bill as it is. OOIDA put out a call to action recently to kind of get Senator Hawley on board with that idea, also taking that opportunity to talk about the GOT Truckers Act, as you mentioned there, which would obviously include truck drivers because it's geared toward truck drivers. And this is an issue I think that maybe is not getting enough attention because I think the kind of the ancillary benefits of doing something like this really cannot be understated, because if you start paying people for all of the time that they put in, the one thing that I've heard is, shippers and receivers should start, in theory, honoring your time a bit better.
Yeah. Detention
time would go down, you would think, because they know that they're, shelling out money for you sitting there for however many minutes or hours it may be. And that kind of benefit would trickle on down the line. Owner-operators are not going to benefit from this bill directly, but indirectly because, rising tide lifts all ships kind of thing. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So, I mean, again, keep beating that drum. But if you talk to your legislators, if you've got a kind of a relationship with the staff there, this is something too that really would go a long way. So get that House bill moving, get the Senate bill included in that, truckers included in that as well, and that can go a long way to solving some problems out there. So there you go.
Yeah. If you've ever wondered how long you can idle your truck in certain states or cities, there's actually a list. The American Transportation Research Institute, ATRI, of course, we love an acronym in trucking, recently updated its compendium.
Compendium.
I will say that is a word I have never seen.
You don't throw the word compendium around on a regular basis?
A collection of information.
Summary, right?
I can't be the only person who's never heard the word compendium.
I don't think it's used that often.
And that drives me nuts. The person writing this, I want to be like, why?
I'm going to guess that they're researchers, and they probably use the word more than we do.
But do they not think of the people actually looking at the list?
I don't know.
Me?
Guess what, Ashley? We've got them on the line right now. We can ask them directly. No, we don't.
I'd love to.
Unfortunately. Yeah, compendium. This is a summary, basically, right? Is what they're
collection
of
information. Some cities, it depends on temperature, but the list essentially has the limits, whether, the temperature affects it. The amount of fines typically ranges from, there's 0. Some places you cannot idle whatsoever up to 15 minutes. The fines ranged from $25 to $25,000.
Oh, is that all?
That's all.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah, this is the thing that I don't, unless you're a truck driver or you understand trucking, I don't think people understand this issue enough, as to why,
you would need to.
If you're sitting in your car in the middle of summer and it's, 100 degrees outside, you're not turning your car off,
Yeah.
But again, I think this ATRI tip, I think is very helpful, this compendium, I should say, is very helpful for people there. Truckingresearch.org is the place to go check that out. And it's a good thing. It's a good key for people, again, who travel around a lot and aren't quite sure what they may be driving into. So very helpful there, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a really good interview coming up. I'm super excited to talk to her. I talked to her a couple of months ago. Gina Jones, truck driver. She trucks with her husband. She got a very exciting opportunity a couple weeks ago to go to the White House.
Yeah, and I saw that. She was there taking part, or I guess speaking, right, at a ceremony kind of commemorating the striking down of the California emissions rules. And she went up to the podium. You could see the president literally 2 feet away from her to her right. And she talked to a crowd of dignitaries and lawmakers.
What looked like they were packed in a sardine can. It was a lot of people there. I mean, we would know there's a ton of cameras there. Yeah, she did a great job. So yeah, I'm super excited to
We'll talk
just
to her
ask
about that experience.
what that process was like.
Yeah, the process, the experience, what she talked about, what she saw. It'll be a good talk there.
Yeah.
And then later on in the show, we've got the Walcott Truckers Jamboree coming up on July 10th. And we're going to speak with Lee Meyer of the Iowa 80 group there to talk about the show, what we can expect. I want to talk about the pork chop sandwich, the famous pork chop cookout with her as well. So we've got a lot to discuss there. Gina Jones as well. Looking forward to that. That's right up after the break here. Good show for you today. We do have to take a quick break, but Trucking with OOIDA is going to be right back right after this short commercial break.
Welcome back to Trucking with OOIDA. Anytime truck drivers can have their voices heard is important. Anytime that can happen in front of government is even more important. Recently, Gina Jones had the opportunity to do just that at the White House, no less. She joins us now. Gina, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
You and I spoke a few months ago, and as I was watching this bill signing ceremony, I just kind of had it on the background that President Trump did a few weeks ago that put the end to California's strict vehicle emission standards. They announced, a truck driver's coming up to speak, and immediately I recognized you. I said, wait a second, I know her. So I'm so excited that we get to talk about the experience. Tell me, how did this all come about?
So I got a phone call, and I was surprised of the phone call that I got from who was calling me. It was, all of a sudden, I heard this voice, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I picked up the phone, and I heard this voice, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that voice sounds familiar. And I looked at my phone, and it says it's Chris Spear. And I'm like, what is Chris Spear calling me for? So Chris Spear is the president and CEO from ATA, Americans Trucking Association. And he's like, hi, Gina, how you doing? And I'm like, hi, Chris. And so he presents to tell me that I was chosen as America's road team captain to present at the White House, represent at the White House for the trucking industry and the ATA. And then he proceeded to tell me what I was going to be doing, that I was going to, if I was okay with it and said yes, that I would be doing a 30-second speech next to Mr. President, Mr. Trump. And I was like a little bit in a shock. I didn't know what to say, and I just kept listening. And it was exciting, and I couldn't believe if I was really hearing what I was hearing. So as that went on, he told me that he already talked to Warner Enterprises, the CEO and chairman, Derek Leathers, letting them know that I was chosen, and our president of Warner, Nathan Meisgeier, as well. So after that, it all began. Just what was next in line.
And it was an immediate yes from you, I would assume, after you got over the shock, right?
He was telling me when it was going to be, June 12th, and I'm like, are you saying June 12th, next week? So this was a Friday. A Friday when he called me, and we had 6 days. And I originally had some plans flying out of town to Orlando. And he's like, Chris Spears is like, Gina, we can work with this. We can get to where you need to go. And they did, and it was amazing.
You should have had them move the ceremony to Orlando. I think that would have been the power move, Gina.
No. I didn't want to lose that White House
for sure.
Experience, yeah.
Experience.
Do you know why you were chosen?
Well, I am a professional truck driver for 13 years now, and I represent the trucking industry. I team drive with my husband, and I'm on the America's Road team. I'm a captain on the America's Road team with the ATA. So I represent our trucking industry.
Now, I'm curious, your husband, Steve, right?
Yes.
Did you call him, or was he home at the time? How did that conversation go?
So we were on the road. He was sleeping. I pulled over and I said needed a safe haven. When I got the call, I was hands-free, but I still needed a safe haven to pull over at a safe place and do my discussion. And I woke Steve up. He was in the back of the cab sleeping. I'm like, Steve, you're never going to guess what happened. What just happened? And he was like, oh my gosh, we need to get this worked out. We need to figure this. We were heading home anyways, back to Phoenix from being out in West Memphis doing a delivery. And we were just a matter of 8 hours away, and I was going to be home that Wednesday anyways because I was flying out to Orlando Thursday. And so it just fell in place like it was supposed to happen.
Wow.
But awesome. He was excited. He's my rock. He's been there for me since day one when he got me into the trucking industry. So I have to, he's been everything right there for me. Supports me so highly.
That's great.
I'm curious, what was the preparation process like in, writing your speech and getting ready to go to D.C.?
So I had, Mr. Spears told me that I would have a person in contact that would contact me to let me know all the details. And then the ATA, also with the America's Road Team, Nikki Thomas, she gets everything ready for us America Road Team captains when we go do events. And I also had 2 other America's Road Team captains join me on the White House as well. And we wanted to have a military veteran and a Teamster. So they were there joining me, Ralph and Perry. They were very wonderful support team for me as well. I know Ralph, he was at the White House at one time before, so he could help me down the road with the experience as well.
Show you the ropes a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so that was very helpful, but it was exciting for all 3 of us to be there. And even Warner's president, Nathan Meisgeier, he accompanied me as well on the trip there too.
It's great that you had that support system because, like Ashley, I was watching as well and saw when you went up there. And I thought to myself, that looks incredibly nerve-wracking.
Terrifying.
Yeah, because if anybody hasn't seen it, you're up at the podium. The president is over your right shoulder, a couple feet away from you. If you look at the audience, you see a bunch of cabinet members and, different representatives
there was a lot
from
of
the
cameras.
Cameras everywhere. Yeah, I'm sure. And I don't think it's that big a space, too. You were the one that went up and actually spoke. You had that great support system. But, I can't imagine that was a comfortable experience necessarily going up and taking that mic.
So when President Trump was speaking and ready to announce me, I walked up, I stood there by the stage waiting, and yes, I was like, I got this. I'm going to do it. I feel comfortable. At first, when I got into the White House, I did not. I was so nervous. I had to walk around. We were in the East Wing, and I took a tour of the different rooms, the red, the blue, and the green room. And some of the times I was by myself in those rooms, and I would just take a deep breath. And I did video, yeah. And then, so before I did get up on the stage, and before President Trump came walking out, and that was amazing. I had to go to the restroom, and I wanted to get myself together. And so the White House Office of Public Liaison, she took me to the restroom, and she goes, Gina, you're going to enjoy this restroom. And I walked in, and my eyes just got so big, it felt like a museum that I was in, and it was a restroom. So I went in there to kind of get myself relaxed and stuff, and that really helped me. So I was prepared once I was ready to get on that stage and by the podium. When I saw President Trump, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm here. This is really it. I'm not dreaming.
It's happening. Yeah.
It's happening, yes. And so he announced me. I walk up. I look at him straight in the eye. He gives me a handshake. I opened my speech, and I said, "Thank you, Mr. President." And he put down my microphone for me because I'm short, and he's this tall gentleman. And so I thought that was really wonderful to see that happened. I even watched back on my videos on it from the news, and I'm like, wow, he did do that.
Mm-hmm.
So because you don't catch everything right away, it's going so fast. You're in the moment. Yeah. So then I began to speak my speech, and it was amazing. It just flowed. I just started a little bit on one word, but you know what? You keep going, and you just take the moment, and it was over. It went so fast.
Yeah, you did, and you did great.
You did a great job.
You did great, yeah, for sure.
What was the main message that you wanted to get across during your speech?
So the main message is I really, really wanted to say is we cannot allow one state's regulation to disturb the entire nation's supply chain. So by allowing that, California to do so would have to negatively impact the hundreds and thousands of the truck drivers who deliver critical goods across the country each and every day. So that was the main importance of those words that to represent the trucking industry.
And I mean, I know like Scott kind of painted a picture of what it looked like, but I mean, President Trump was like right by you. I think at a few times like put his hand on your shoulder, like very, very close. Was that nerve-wracking at all? How did that feel?
Oh my gosh. I was like, wow, he touched me on my back. I mean, the President of the United States gave me a couple pats on the back. And so, when I said promises made, promises kept, that's when he patted me on the back. And then all of a sudden I heard the audience just applaud. And I'm like, wait a minute, they're applauding. I need to stop. So I stopped, and then the whole room just applauded loudly and just waited calmly and continued my last sentence, saying on behalf of the 8.5 million Americans who work throughout the trucking industry. And I said, I thank you, to thank them all for what they do every day out on the road.
Was Steve able to be in the room with you, or did he watch on TV?
Oh my gosh, and that is the sad part. He wanted to be there so bad, but he was not able to attend. While I was going to be going to Orlando, he was still going to be going on the road and keeping the trip productive while I was gone as well. So he did stop to listen. He knew the time when it was going to be on air. He stopped. Now, it doesn't always start on time because Mr. President comes out when he's able to. So he ended up stopping a little longer than he wanted to, but he took it all in. He said he was so proud of me, and my daughter was watching. My whole family actually was watching. I did tell them. I did not tell too many because being nervous myself, and I didn't want to. In case something came up, but in case it wasn't aired as well. But I mean, I got my husband. He's my rock, my support team. He's even the ATA, Chris Beers, the whole leadership team. It's like, Gina, you got this. You're going to do it. You're going to do well. So I had to raise that bar and make sure I did. So psyching yourself out sometimes does help. And what a great experience.
Yeah. He must be so proud of you, too, I imagine.
He is. He brought me onto the trucking industry in 2012, and it's 13 years working alongside him, being safe out on the road. We're both 1 million. I'm a 1 million accident-free miler. I'm 1.5, and I think he's 1.3, 1.2. But we do love what we do together, and that's is his pride and joy is having me on the truck with him, and we are working together as a husband and wife team.
Can I ask you too, Gina, you mentioned it, and I think this makes perfect sense. You kind of, said the whole experience was like a blur, and I can relate to that, not speaking at the White House or anything like that.
We haven't got there yet.
No, haven't gotten there yet, and I don't know if we will. But, the whole thing being a blur, I imagine you're going to take so many memories from that particular day, not just the cool bathroom that you went into, but, when you look back at this 10, 20 years down the line, what do you think you're going to remember most about the experience?
Being there representing the trucking industry, being a part of that is so important in what we do daily to deliver the goods to our nations, to the country, to our people, America's people. I never realized that I would be ever doing this in my life, being a truck driver as a second career at the age of 50 when I started out. It's a great experience. I got to go to the White House. Who goes to the White House?
Yeah.
Who stands next to President Trump? No matter who is in office, I would have been happy to meet that president. It's high on a level that not many will ever get to experience. I got to experience that, and when I left there that afternoon, I was like, was I at the White House? Did I really do this?
Was that all a dream?
Representing the trucking industry and all the women and men out there that are out there for the United States of America, delivering the goods. I mean, how important is that, right? All the essentials, what we need. So, you know what? When I left working in the retail grocery business, 28 years I worked, I also worked in the essential, food business as well. But being in the trucking industry is a highlight of my life. And my family is so supportive and proud of me, and they tell me all the time. My daughter's one of my biggest support teams when she's out there and knows something I'm going to be on video or, live or something. So
that's awesome.
It's been amazing.
Nice. We've got to take a short break, but don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this. Welcome back. Gina Jones is with us on the line talking about her recent trip to the nation's capital, where she represented truck drivers at a bill signing that scrapped California's EV mandate. Gina, I'm curious, when this announcement came, what does it mean to you as a truck driver?
It is utmost importance as a truck driver for what we do out there for our country, all the trucking industries, the technology, the people that work behind the scenes, our companies, and everyone else who is involved. It's just not us truck drivers; it's everyone out that works as a team to get us where we need to go, get us our loads. We can't just say it's the truck drivers, because we have to have a team of people to do it all as well. We do the hard part by delivering and getting the loads safe to where we need to deliver them.
Now, when you visited the White House, I assume you don't just, pull up in an Uber and head inside. What was the process like when you got there?
Well, I was with the ATA, and we took a van there, and they dropped us off at this certain area where our drop-off point was. We wait under a tent by the White House before we enter. When they tell us it's time to enter, we walk along the pathway, and as we reach going up to the stairs of the White House, we had to go through the security, showing our IDs and everything before we did go in. There's the military and with the dogs, and so it was quite exciting to see how everything is all laid out and so secure. So we do go through a couple other processes of showing our IDs as well. You think once you're only doing it, but no, you're doing it a couple times. And then all of a sudden, I reached the stairs, and Warner, our president, was alongside with me, and he goes, "Gina, you walk up the stairs, and I'm going to take a picture of you walking up the stairs." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, okay, thank you." So I did, and then got into the White House and headed towards the East Wing. And I turn my head, and I'm looking to the left, and I see the garden area outside, and it's just amazing, beautiful. I walk up another set of stairs, and there's all the military guards just standing kind of like in each doorway to greet you. And that was awesome and amazing to see what their hard work that they do every day, and that he has to stand there and present, the White House and all the guests that are coming in as well. So I walked in and I was just like, I can't believe it. This is the White House. And I did go into the East Wing where the room was where we were all going to be, but we had time to walk around. So I did take a video of all the other rooms. And, well, as walking up to the set of stairs in towards the building of the East Wing, they had a small orchestra, beautiful music that greeted all of us. And I took video. I went into the red, the green, and the blue room. I had the rooms kind of sometimes to myself. And so I was just like, oh, my gosh, this is amazing. The historic artwork. It's a museum of the amazing presidents from past and present. I took pictures. People took pictures with me in front of them. And so I have so many memories that I can cherish as I go on, and I can show my experience of being at the White House and what it meant to me. I had goosebumps. I literally had goosebumps. And like my experience, like I said, going into the restroom, women's restroom.
Yeah, let's talk about the restroom. What was so great about it?
Marble. It was just marble,
okay.
And just everything just so spectacular.
No orchestra in the bathroom, though, right?
No, but you could hear it.
You could hear it, though. Okay, good. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask you, I mean, there's so many things again, too, but was there anything that surprised you, or I guess what surprised you the most in going there and doing this? Was anything you're like, oh, I didn't expect that, or anything like that happen?
So when you walk in the White House, everything is so large, right? Everything is big, the rooms, everything looks so much larger than what it really was when I was in there. And, I think the media kind of, I watch the news, I watch the president when he's speaking and doing different signings, the bills and things like that on TV. But it is so different when you are there and you're in the East Wing and everybody's in there, like you said, all the Congress, the senators, everybody, and the media. And when President Trump asked for questions, I mean, I had to turn my head around real fast because everybody was like all shouting. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what it is really like when you are watching it from the TV to be in there live. So I think just being around, and you know what? I was in the front row. I was sitting with all the senators wrapping around the room around President Trump, the podium. And I was sitting next to also a couple speakers that were before me. They were a small business owner and then an oil owner. So they had spoke before, I think, with President Trump. So they also supported me through my first time sitting next to them. And I got a picture with Speaker Johnson. Selfie. He grabbed my phone and took a selfie, and some of the senators as well. So what an amazing experience when you see it all happen on TV and you are there in person talking with them. And you know what? They are wonderful listeners. They love to hear about truck drivers. They love to listen to them and get their insight out how we are out on the road.
That's great.
That's awesome. Now, you've been trucking for 13 years. I'm curious, did you ever imagine when you got into trucking that you would one day be representing the thousands and thousands of men and women on the road at the White House?
Hell no. Can I say that?
Yes.
Hell no.
Yeah.
I never, because that was never in my outlook in life. I was in management in the retail grocery business, and I started from the bottom, just like I did in the trucking industry. I didn't go to college. Out of high school, I got married, had children. And then after my kids got older, I went to school, and I started in the grocery business from the bottom. I worked my way into management in the bakery delis. And I didn't have to go to college to do that. I made good money, but my husband says, I'm lonely, Gina. My youngest son was leaving for the Army, so I was going to be in an empty nester. He goes, come and join me. We can make good money together. And when I realized how much money that we could make and that we could be together working as a team for a trucking company, I was like, okay, I will try this. But for me, I'm a go-getter, so I had to make goals for me to get started in the trucking industry to further me ahead. And I had to become somebody so I could help other truck drivers and bring females into the trucking industry as well. Mm-hmm. So my goal was to love what I do and help others love what they do as well.
That's awesome. Gina, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Gina, let me ask you one quick question here. Have you been to the Walcott Truckers Jamboree by chance?
I have not been to the Jamboree, but I've been to the Walmart. Yeah, the
Iowa 80
truck stop there.
Well,
Iowa 80.
Yeah.
Yes.
July 10th, the Walcott Truckers Jamboree is coming up there at Iowa 80. We just spoke with Lee Meyer, marketing manager for the truck stop there, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what is going on at that show right now.
Yeah, we are on our 47th annual event. So we've been celebrating America's truckers since 1979.
47 years that's a good long run. I imagine it's changed quite a bit through the years. I don't think you've been around for all 47 of those, but all
27 of mine.
27. So did you grow up going to the show?
I did, yes. So it was actually my grandparents that started Iowa 80. So as long as I've been alive, I've been going to every jamboree. So I feel like I'm not quite an expert, but maybe almost.
You might, yeah. I think you can safely call yourself an expert for sure. Do you remember those early memories, like the first one that you went to, or maybe your first memory from one of those earlier shows?
Oh yeah, we'd go with my grandparents, my dad's parents, not my mom's, because they were obviously working the show.
Yeah.
And we'd help my mom pass out trophies for the Super Truck Beauty Contest, and my dad with the antique truck plaques, and we'd eat a pork chop or eat a hot dog and watch fireworks and all sorts of good stuff. I've got a lot of great memories from the Walcott Truckers Jamboree, and it's fun because we still do a lot of the same things, but it doesn't get boring because we only get to do it once a year.
Yeah. And I was going to kind of ask you that because, obviously with anything in life, it is going to change over the course of, 47 years. But you kind of touched on it there. I mean, for the most part, a lot of the kind of the mainstay events and the things that people come there for are still there and are still kind of, being done how they were, back in the 80s or even before that, I suppose as well. That's kind of the beauty of this show in particular, I would think, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it has changed a lot. When it first started, it was like a one-day event, and it was just a good way for my grandpa Bill to get to show off his antique truck collection. So we invited some of the truck manufacturers to bring in new trucks. People hadn't really seen these new trucks on the road. They were expensive, things like that. The 70s and 80s were kind of a hard time in trucking, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Anyway, he invited some of those manufacturers to bring out new trucks. He showed off his old trucks, and he had a pork chop cookout in the parking lot. And that's what it started out as a customer appreciation event. And that still continued. We still have the pork chop cookout in the parking lot. We still have our Super Truck Beauty Contest, and we still see some new trucks and some old trucks too. So it's only gotten better every single year, and definitely bigger too. So yeah. I can't wait to see what this year is like.
I think that's funny that you put it that way. And I think that, it was kind of a way maybe for your grandfather to kind of show off his trucks, right? That was kind of maybe not the main, motive there, but I assume, and I would imagine, given what those trucks were, that's a source of pride for him, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was always his retirement dream to have an antique truck museum. Like, he was going to retire and he was just going to have this museum and talk to people about the importance of trucking in America. I mean, it's a uniquely American, uniquely important industry. And so that was going to be his retirement job. And we actually do have a museum here on the property, the Iowa 80 Trucking Museum. But unfortunately, he passed in 1992. So he never got to see the museum open, but it was just his way to kind of the early days of the museum, if you will. Once a year, he got to take them out in the parking lot and let people look at them. So,
but that's also, I mean, that's a great way for him to live on, right? I mean, the fact that he built this and it's grown so much over the years really is a testament to his life and, kind of speaks to his legacy. That's got to mean something for you as his granddaughter, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He passed away before I was born, but my first job was in the Iowa 80 Trucking Museum. I worked there from the time, it was legal for me to work somewhere until I went off to college. And it was a great job. I loved it. I loved talking to people. I loved the kind of sense of wonder that people had about it. They're like, I didn't even know this was here. What do you mean it's free to go into? And, they'd come back and they'd say, I learned something. There's this great truck that you guys have in the collection that, of course, we knew about, but it's always fun for other people to be excited about, too. So really humbling and really a great way for me to connect with him, even still.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of blown away every time I go in there, which is funny because now I work here every day.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about the show a little bit. It starts, it runs for 3 days starting on July 10th. And, you kind of talked about it, that this show has grown over the years. And I think it is one of these shows that people really enjoy going to for a number of reasons. And maybe different people have their different reasons. But maybe for those who haven't been before, maybe they're thinking about coming out this time. Explain what the show is exactly, why it is such a unique event in, kind of a crowd of other events that are out there as well.
So the Walcott Truckers Jamboree is July 10th through the 12th, 2025. So we have a 3-day show. We have a super truck beauty contest. So you can come and see some old trucks, see some great trucks. We also have our antique truck display, our Iowa pork chop cookout. That's every single day. We also have our Trucker Olympics all 3 days, various times. Anyone with a CDL can come and show off their strength or their ability to catch a water balloon in our parking lot. It's great fun. There's prizes, so come and join us for that. We also have live music. So starting on Thursday at 5 p.m., we'll have the Jimmy Welty Band at the main stage. We'll also have KC Musicmen starting at 7. And on Thursday and Friday at 9 p.m., we also have our Lights at Night display and our fireworks. So it's super fun. People get to show off their lights and often their horns and their stereos too. It gets kind of loud, but it's so fun and it's beautiful. It's one of my favorite parts of the Jamboree. So
that water balloon contest, I would imagine, gets pretty popular as the day goes on and the heat kind of gets turned up.
Yes, by the end of it, I'm hoping that they hit me with one. I'm like, please. It does get warm, so bring your sunscreen and your hats if anyone's going to join us.
For sure. Those little, portable fans, whatever you need to kind of get through it. Can we talk about the pork chop situation out there? Because I actually have never been to the show, and I'd like to come maybe this year. Who knows? But the pork chop, I hear a lot about it, and my curiosity is piqued. So what is it about the Iowa pork chop that you guys have there that makes it so special?
Well, Iowa is one of the largest pork producers in the country. So, it's local pork. We're supporting Iowa business. For me, that also makes it a delicious pork chop.
Yep.
But it's just a big, good pork chop that's cooked on a grill outside by the Iowa 80 Kitchen. And the Iowa 80 Kitchen is also a family business within the Iowa 80 truck stop. So it's been run by the same family since they opened in 1964.
Wow.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And it's delicious. I mean, all their food is fantastic at the Iowa 80 Kitchen, but this is special because, pork chops on a grill feels like summer to me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Plus you got the music, the entertainment, as you mentioned earlier, and everything else going on. It's like a party there.
Absolutely.
You've been going for a while, obviously, as you said earlier. Is there anything like in particular that you really look forward to every time? Maybe it's a pork chop, maybe it's the water balloons. I don't know, but is there something you look forward to each and every year that you you're just like, I can't wait for this?
Yes, I am always so excited about our 100th birthday party. So every year we celebrate a truck in the Iowa 80 Trucking Museum collection that's turning 100 years old. And we have a cake. All good parties have cake.
Of course,
we're no exception. We are going to have cake. And we celebrate a truck in our collection. And our curator, my dad, actually gives a talk about the truck, where we got it, what it was used for. And I'm such a history buff. I love kind of the story behind everything, because all of these trucks do have a story, and they have a history that helped build America. So it's always so fun to hear about it. So that's actually Friday at 2:00 in the Iowa 80 Trucking Museum. The museum is air conditioned, so it's also just a welcome break from the heat.
Yeah.
Iowa in July is no joke, but we'll persevere through because it's fun. So.
And the truck of honor this year is the 1925 Kenworth, right?
Yes, it is. So this one's been in our collection since 2004. I feel like we're old friends.
How many do you have now in the collection there? It's a lot.
We have over 130.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, that's really cool.
As vintage signs and antique toy trucks. So there's a lot to see. And, again, the museum's free. So it'll be open all weekend if people want to stop in and cool off.
Yeah, I was going to say that selling point would also be the air conditioning. That's the cherry on top there, along with the pork chop flavored cake. I'm not sure it's pork chop flavored, but along with that cake that you're.
It's not. I ordered it.
Oh, okay. There you go. Maybe next year. Maybe you can go all in.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Hey, Lee, as we kind of wrap this up here, anybody who's listening to this, again, the message is, hey, come out, check it out. A lot of cool trucks, a lot of cool stuff to do. It's kind of the place to be that weekend there, right? Yeah, live concert, live music. Yeah. And
it's free. Parking is free. Admission is free. There's no tickets needed for the concert. Our full schedule is listed on our website, so iowa80.com/trucker jamboree. And you can find all sorts of information. If you want to register your truck for the beauty contest, if you need a schedule, if you need a map, all that other good stuff can be found online.
All right, our thanks again to Lee Meyer there, filling us in on the Walcott Truckers Jamboree starting July 10th. I have never been to Iowa 80. Ashley, I believe you have.
Yeah, actually, I went once, I think, before I started this job. And then after I started working here, obviously my heart for the trucking industry grew. And so I was even more excited to go the second time. But yeah, my husband's from Iowa, so we've gone a couple times.
Yeah. And you went to the museum and saw the
I didn't go to the museum. Next time I definitely will have to. It's an experience. Like just it is humongous.
Yeah. Did you have a pork chop sandwich?
Didn't. No. That is not something I would opt for, though I know it is very popular in the trucking industry.
We were having this conversation earlier with people, and I think it was maybe Mark Shermer of Landline Magazine who was also involved. We were just wondering how the pork chop sandwich kind of became the go-to, the staple food.
It seems to be. I believe at the Mid-America Trucking Show.
Yeah,
that's
there's
also
one.
a pork chop sandwich. Or Where did that come from?
I don't know.
I bet there's a history there.
And Lee, and as Lee was talking there, it makes sense with Iowa and the pork industry being, sizable and influential there. And, so I get it, but so I've never been. I'd like to get up there. I'd like to eat a few pork chop sandwiches. I don't know what the record is. I don't know if I'd break it, but it'd be cool. It'd be cool to get up there. I don't. We were also talking about like snack food and stuff too.
Yeah, like when you're on a road trip and you stop at a truck stop, gas station, do you have like a go-to, or do you change it up?
Yeah, it's weird because I don't eat corn nuts anytime, but for some reason when I stop, like on a road trip, I'll get corn nuts, and I don't know why.
So my husband gets that as well.
Oh, is that right?
They smell the car up
really good.
Horribly.
Yeah, really good. I know. Yeah.
And they break your teeth.
Yeah, it's probably not great for your teeth.
No.
It's kind of like chewing ice or something. Yeah. What about you? Do you have a go-to?
I love Skittles, but like the purple bag Has to be the purple bag.
Oh, is that the tropical one?
I think so, yeah. Because there's like not a bad one in there.
Do they sponsor us?
They don't, but maybe they
should.
Start.
Maybe we'll get, hey, let's keep mentioning food products here. Maybe they'll send it to us.
And then probably an energy drink if I'm behind the wheel. If not, like a fun water.
It's a lot of sugar. Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'd probably opt for sugar-free.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's healthier.
Also, real quick, too, Gina Jones, how great was that?
Yeah.
Such a cool experience.
Such a cool experience. And you could just tell, like, I mean, she was like so proud of herself, which she should be.
Of course, yeah.
But just hearing how, proud her husband was and her family and just the whole experience, like that is something she's going to be talking about
forever.
For decades. Like it's just so cool.
All the pictures she was talking about that were taken of her kind of walking up the stairs and all that. That stuff, I'm sure it's all over her, social media.
Yeah.
And
I just
whatnot.
loved the like going into the bathroom, like just like how cool that was. Like hearing that, like it's just so cool. It's cool to hear regular people, hardworking people getting to do stuff like that. It's just so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's not every day you get to speak at the White House, obviously. Not every day you get to go either. I mean, I've been to Washington, D.C., and I've seen the White House from outside and never been inside of it.
Yeah, we would take an invite.
Yeah, we would, for sure. But yeah, I can't even imagine what that would have been like to, stand up at that podium.
I'm sure it would be an overwhelming experience.
Overwhelming experience, but again, like you said, it's one that she's going to be talking about for a long time, rightfully so. It's really cool. So maybe she'll do it again. She did such a good job. Maybe they'll invite her back and for the next thing, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of exciting times, do you know what's coming up next week?
I've got a hair appointment. No, I don't. I don't know what's going on next week.
Well, of course, America's celebrating its birthday, but before that,
of course, yeah.
I'm curious. I feel like all Canadians would know when Independence Day is, but like, would you have known when Canada Day is?
July 1st?
It is July 1st.
Yeah. Well, I already knew because we've talked about this before. But yeah, I think I would have known. I think I would have known that.
I believe that.
Maybe.
Some Americans, though.
Yeah.
No offense, guys.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I was going to say, I mean, there are some people that, what do they call, maybe I'm going to get in trouble here. Canada's America's hat or something like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much people are thinking about Canada, but yeah, it's a big day. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I don't know if are Canadians thinking about Americans that much? I don't know.
Yes, actually, yeah.
Well, now I feel bad.
It's definitely different that way, but no.
We are going to talk Canada Day.
Yeah,
next week,
we're going to celebrate, talk to one of our board members who's from Canada, going to talk to the Canadian Trucking Alliance, just to see what's going on up north.
Yeah, well, we should also probably talk, July 4th. We can talk Independence Day as well and celebrate it all. I did look, when I was looking it up, and I had this conversation earlier with somebody, July 1st, also the start of the Battle of Gettysburg, also when that was 1863. 100 years later was when the U.S. zip code system was introduced, called the Postal Code in Canada.
Postal Code in Canada, yeah.
And then a year later, in 1964, the signing of the Civil Rights Act. So July 1st, you're in good company.
That's a big day.
Big days.
Very
big day
exciting.
on July 1st. So yeah, we'll talk about that and whatever other big news may come out of wherever it may come out of. So lots of stuff to talk to me. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. We'll have some good guests as well. So lots coming up this coming week. We'll celebrate Canada. We'll celebrate America. And we appreciate you listening. We appreciate Gina Jones for her time today, Lee Meyer as well. We've got another Trucking with OOIDA coming up real soon, so we hope to see you then. In the meantime, take care and drive safe wherever you may be. Today's episode of Trucking with OOIDA was brought to you by a dedicated team of people that includes Jim Fetzer, Keegan White, Tennille Flick, and Kim Boren.
Got thoughts? We'd love to hear them. Call us at 1-800-324-6856 and leave us a message. Or you can send us an email to podcast@ooida.com and we might include it on the show.